What's up guys, it's John Carden for Primal Performance Coaching, and this week we're going to talk about on Strength Weekly is progressions and regressions in terms of building fundamental movement patterning and injury prevention, but also building your foundation. So basically just building your fundamentals, building your foundation, injury prevention. You could call it a structural balance phase if you want, if you're talking to athletes or you want to make it sound cool and sciencey. So here's what I've learned over the last 5 to 10 years of working with athletes, powerlifters, and general population. You need to have a structural balance base, but that also needs to be specific to the task. So let's talk about 60-year-old grandmother or auntie. Okay, so she comes to me and she wants to lose weight, but she's in pain. She can't move, she's very kyphosis, she's leaned way over, posture is not so great. So what should I start doing? Should I start doing heavy bench presses and heavy squats and big sled pushes and prowlers? No. You start off with a structural balance phase, which is where you should always, if you're a personal trainer, you need to start there. I don't really give a fuck why the client came to you or what they came to you for. Even if they have a timeline goal, stick to the timeline, but you need to provide some sort of structural balance. And there's reasons for that. So the body creates adaptations to training, and that is how we progress. If you don't have the solid foundation to push on, your house will crumble and you won't be able to make the progressions necessary to get the results that you want down the road. And this goes for bodybuilding, powerlifting, anything. You cannot violate the rules of progressions and regressions. You cannot violate the rules of programming just because you feel like you need to or you can. You're not going to get the results that you want. Okay? So how do we go about this? So if we go back to Auntie, what we would then do is we would, with most of my general population clients, I look at ranges of motion. And I'm not really even looking at, like, I'm not getting a goniometer out. I'm not going, oh, you know, your fucking knee flexion is 10 degrees. I need it to 50 or I need it to 100. I'm like, okay, let's see how your knee moves. Pretty tight, pretty rickety. Okay, let's feel your quad. Let's feel the muscle tension. Is it a supple muscle? Is it a nice relaxed work supple muscle will feel a lot different than most people. Like, my muscles are big, but they're not tight. They got a little bit of suppleness to them. That's because I work on a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of mobility and stability fairly regularly. So you feel for the suppleness. If you're not certified or you're not comfortable with stretching out clients, that's fine. But then I would recommend to you is either piggybacking with someone else if you're a trainer, or if you're a client or someone just looking to build your base, go see a therapist, a massage therapist, a stretch therapist, someone like that. I would stick with the more allied health professionals. I wouldn't go into the sketchy side of it. But find someone that can do that stuff. I'm a kinesiologist and a personal trainer, so I do stretch therapy, and I've also been taught how to do manual stretching. I don't assess injuries though, so you can manually stretch someone as a trainer if you're certified. That's something you can do if you are a trainer. Now, you have to be certified though. If you're a kin, you can actually probably do it without being certified in it because it comes under your scope of practice. So, with that in mind, you're going to then work on their mobility, find what works, or find basic static stretches that work as well. That can be done as well. Basic static stretch routine, focusing on tonic muscles. Focus on tonic muscles, which are generally the muscles that are going to be overused in that population. With athletes, that's going to be different. That varies on the sport. So you're looking at the agonist-antagonist reactions in that sport as well. So if you're looking at basic regular individuals, you're going to see a lot of tightness in the pec minor, rotator cuff. You're going to see a lot of tight hamstring, super tight hip flexor, no movement on the inner hips. So abduction of the hip, abduction of the shoulders can be trash. You're going to see very weak lats. You're going to see very weak traps and rhomboids. You're going to see very overloaded quads, and generally a bit of a hunched forward shoulder. So if you're looking at it from the stretching mobility standpoint, what do you need to do? You need to loosen those tight muscles and then strengthen the weak muscles that are generally the agonist reaction and that will literally pull them right into that balanced, structured posture, which is going to be great as far as improving that. And then step 2 of your structural balance for them would then be also working on progressions and regressions of movement. Now, a lot of people progress the movement too fast and too hard, so then the client ends up doing a movement that they're not ready for, and it creates even more structural imbalances because you're overloading the client in a movement pattern that they're not capable of doing, which causes more bad compensations and reactions. I know the client's gung-ho, they're new, they want to smash it up. Your auntie wants to do wants to lose 50 pounds of fat in like 2 months because she saw it on Instagram or she saw it on Oprah, and she's like, yeah, I can do that. Now, that's where quality coaching comes into play. You now have to educate your client, or think about it. If you are just a regular person that wants to do this, think about, okay, well, I don't quite have that. Okay, I do squats, it doesn't look right. I do barbell squat, it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right. Okay, well then, you probably shouldn't be doing a barbell back squat right now. So that's why coaching helps a lot, but there's resources on the internet where you can find. If you look for progressions and regressions of every exercise that you're trying, you'll find it. It's just looking for it. So you take them, you do their squat assessment, you notice the squat's pretty crap. You do a T-Rex squat for a couple weeks, get the movement patterning down, get the locomotion down. They'll get stronger because their nervous system will just blow up and they'll move better. And then what will happen is you just have to really, really work on their diet and their habits, which is where you should be in the beginning, and it'll all take off. Now, powerlifters. Yes. So, with powerlifting, there's a bit of a, I don't know how to say this, there's a bit of a meatheadness to it. So, a lot of powerlifters are not willing to go through structural balance phases, or they get impatient, or they don't really see the benefit to it. They get all worked up because they get so worked up on the number. Now, the problem with a structural balance phase for powerlifters is they don't see it till 6 to 8 months down the road. So you gotta make sure the powerlifter really understands why you're doing what you're doing with them, or you as a powerlifter need to really make a conscientious effort to know, hey, it's kind of like losing weight for powerlifting. You're gonna get weaker for the interim, but it will lead to better performance down the road. So it's the same thing with working on your movements and your skills of the movement. You then need to look at your powerlifting and go, okay, well, my hamstring quad ratio is still not great. My quads are probably like 70-30 quad. Okay, I need that 50-50. Or I should really have that 70-30, to be real honest. That's what you should be aiming for. You might not ever get it, but that way, your hamstrings going to be strong as shit. And then you also want to work on your erectors, your lower back, your spinal erectors, your core, your anti-flexion, your single leg unilateral movements, ability to hinge, ability to squat, ability to lunge, ability to move laterally, ability to stabilize under load, ability to stabilize anti-rotation, as well as a little bit of rotational, just so that way that you have some rotational in the event that you have to go there, it's not going to kill you. So, for powerlifting, those are the reasons as to why. Also a bit of conditioning. That way your fitness is pretty good, so you can recover from workouts, you can feel conditioned. So for a powerlifter, the structural balance phase looks a lot different than a regular individual. And I'm not saying you don't do the main lifts. You do them, but you do them with very minimal dosage, and you do them in ways that work on improving your structural balances. So front squatting, Bulgarian split squatting, lateral barbell squatting, back squatting with maybe no equipment on at all, to an RPE base where technical failure. And for bodybuilding, it's the same thing. It might be ditching the machines, doing a lot of free weights, doing a lot of unilateral movement, still stimulating hypertrophy movements, but just doing a lot more of that, and doing some shoulder rehab work, a little bit of lateral athletic type movements for a couple weeks, and then go right back to what you were normally doing. You're going to see better results anyways. You should be cycling in that. So that's the Strength Weekly. We're just looking at progressions and regressions and how to implement them and how to implement the structural balance phase. So keep following along. If you like this video, like it, give us a follow or subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys next week.